Hey guys, I'm going to start a little early today, so the clock is running a little fast. So I'm actually going to get up to speed on a couple of things that I'm doing real fast on the side here, and then I'll get started. Cool. So I'll mostly be doing the Vikings tonight, and that one is a History Channel original, which was so History Channel has been doing some really cool stuff here recently, starting with the Vikings for me. I'm not, let me pull on me AMC up and see what others are doing. Well, so Vikings is has been going for quite a few years now. So it's History Channel. For some reason, I always get those confused with AMC for some reason. Cool. So the actor is rather new for me as well. So I've never seen the actor before, but he does an amazing job. And then since this, he's gone on to do quite a few things. So the next big movie with him in it is going to be the World of Warcraft, which looks very interesting. More so specifically because of him. I'm not so sure about all the orcs, babies, and stuff. That's you know, at times they seem like they're going very adult with it, but then at times it seems like it might be quite juvenile. So I'm just not sure, you know, what the intention of showing the young children being all cute is. You know what I'm saying? Especially since it's Warcraft, you know, and we all know the story. Obviously, there's going to be families involved with any sort of war. But if you've seen the trailer, it showed the father, berserker orc, like holding this like really young infant, and the whole scene was just like really cute, you know, per se, due to the graphics and stuff, and then just the vivid nature of the graphics, and just, you know, just how they made it look cute, you know what I mean? But in other parts of the trailer, it makes it seem like the story is going to be very violent, and then anyone who's played the so that content looks like it's based on like World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft 2, and World of Warcraft 3. It looks like it's based on some of that story stuff from there. I haven't really seen any characters from the World of Warcraft in there, so they added like a bunch of races, like a bunch of different races. Anyways, you don't see all those extra races inside of the World of Warcraft. Anywho, so the main actor, his name is Ragnar. Well, the character is Ragnar Lothbrok, and the actor Travis Fimmel, you know, like I was saying, he's the one that's in the World of Warcraft now. I haven't seen him in a lot of other things, but he's been in the Vikings for quite a few amount of years now, and the episodes are, so they're mostly, let's see. And you can clearly start to tell the difference from the first season as well, that the production budget just got incredibly massive. So let me see how many episodes there are in the first season. There's usually, I thought, about 10, 12. Huh. So yeah, right around 10. So the first season had 9, the second season had 10, third season has 10. So that's weird, yeah. So a lot of these shows are going toward that format. Walking Dead has a kind of a format like that too. Um, but yeah, so I mean, but they're 45-minute episodes. So what's really cool about the Vikings is I have not traditionally, and I don't know if this will be true for you guys, but I don't know anything about Viking history. So we always hear about Viking folklore, and the closest thing that I know anything about Viking stuff is that they're raiders, that they're intruders from northern type of civilizations, and they have ventured downward. And I mostly thought that they were killing Englishmen and stuff, right? So there's been a lot of movies over the years that kind of depict a lot of the violent nature of the Vikings and stuff. So, I think there's been a lot of shows like documentaries and stuff that also pop up that just show you the fighting strength of a Viking. So they've always been interesting, but they've never been part of history that I've studied. So I don't know anything about Ragnar Lothbrok, so I never did before the start of the show. So it's been quite a few years now, and with the interest of this from these stories, it makes you look further into it. And then other shows have popped up with similar nature now as well. The most notable to me is The Last Kingdom, which is a descendant of Ragnar Lothbrok right now. So he's a first generation or second generation descendant of Ragnar. Specifically, he's an adopted son of Ragnar, and we haven't seen him pop up or that story come about in the nature of these stories, and we may not ever see the overlap. But in the beginning of the very first season of Vikings, we are seeing a very small band of people, specifically Ragnar and his brother. While there's a war going on in this first one, we are seeing all sorts of things, prophecies of future, also just their fighting strength. But mostly we find that they're peasants and that they own land, but at this time, Ragnar is nothing but a peasant, and more so of a nuisance to the Earl, which is their chieftain at this time. He's married, and he has two children, I believe, at this time. So I'm trying to scrub through and see all this stuff, but who's not as cooperative sometimes. So the episode mostly is setting up just who this family is to the village itself. His oldest son Bjorn, and he has a young daughter as well. So Bjorn he's really funny, young kid. He is like 10 or 12, and he's quite rambunctious. Ragnar is teaching him combat. So Ragnar's married to a what they call a shield maiden, and so in this culture, and this is very much like Spartan culture. I'm not sure what movies you've seen or what literature or history you're involved with, but I watch a lot of Roman and Greek mythology and history that's spilled over into the mainstream with a lot of cinema as well, with like 300 and several other stories along that line, Spartacus, other things. So when we're talking about combat, we're oftentimes talking about people from that era. The Spartans are the most notable to me that bring women into combat. There's been other cultures that you see some women in combat in those times in ancient combat. So in England and stuff, women weren't in combat. And those crusades lasted for thousands of years. That's why Joan of Arc and stuff was so notable over there, is because they didn't have many female warriors in combat. The Japanese have very few as well, and most of that just became necessary because of the dwindling clans. Some women took the position of their fallen husbands. Some women were married to military husbands and mostly took their position when they died or fought beside them whenever it was necessary. But in the Viking culture, they go into combat together very often, and will sometimes leave the kids with like a babysitter and stuff. So in a lot of what the first episode is setting up is the culture of these people and their ways. We see that Ragnar is, at this time, these people didn't navigate well in the sea. Ragnar is becoming smarter in the way of navigation. He's using the stars as well as several other instruments that he's concocting to be able to kind of create himself a compass. And then, so he's using the compass to sail in a particular direction, and he can pinpoint their direction, and he's a navigator by the stars. So he thinks he can find his own way home now that he can somewhat tell direction out on the. We are finding that this particular sect, him and his brother, and he is just an intelligent, popular guy in his village. You could see that he is making waves in this village that are being noticed by people more powerful, and these people tax their own people and such. So obviously when if they go and send a separate raid party, the Earl here is not only going to reprimand them for not asking permission first, but he's going to take their goods and stuff as well. So we're in that sort of situation where these people are kind of repressed, and Ragnar is part of this society that is, he's growing beyond this oppression. So he realizes that he can do more than just be a peasant. He is a very good warrior in combat, and he wants to go raid. That's these people taking territory. I mean, that's like that's one of the earliest things men has ever done on Earth is combat each other for territory or fight for territory. So these people have no qualms about it. So their religion leads them to believe that their ultimate when they've achieved their ultimate you would say like some sort of fulfillment, like calling, but these people, like the Spartans, see that calling is always going to be on the battlefield. While he is a peasant, they are soldiers. He just has land as well. So he owns land. He has people kind of on the land and stuff that he sees to and stuff. Like he at times would possibly have slaves and such. These people carry on in such a manner where when they win in war, they take people as prisoners, but they are people that have civil war as well. So this is not true amongst all people, or not common amongst all people, but here it is common. In order to be an earl is to possibly take it. But yeah. So, as you can see throughout the episode, there's growing tensions between the separate parties, like the lords and the peasants, right? So, there's a lot of undermining that goes on in this first episode. And you know, a lot of times the Earl makes direct jokes at the leisure of some of the peasants that are coming up, and it just mostly goes to show that he's not going to tolerate anyone trying to take his throne. So him so much so in a way that he in seemingly so in this first episode is inciting retaliation in my sense, you know. So it's like if you openly mock someone who is possibly going to come up, you know, he's trying to best him in many different ways. He's trying to stop him from going and doing these escapades, as well as kind of beat him down socially in front of other people as well, to kind of show him and them their places. So we see a large dynamic forming and a rift forming between the lower class and the upper class here in this small village. While it is small in the setting, when we do the master shots, you can see that this village is quite big. It takes up most of a small valley, of a beachside valley. It does show a lot of the mapping as to where it actually would be and such. And then when we do find in comparison where we are to people in Europe and stuff, because eventually throughout the later episodes and seasons, we do raid and war with surrounding countries. Cool. I hope you guys enjoyed Vikings. So go check it out. It's on Hulu right now. You can see, I think, all 3 seasons, and then they're on season 4 right now.